All attendees are in listen-only mode.
In Minnesota, injured his back and was paralyzed. He was found lying helplessly beneath the big oak tree by ranchers Gary and Chad. Wildlife officials and a veterinarian both said he should be shot. Unwilling to kill the cub or leave it to die, they called me. I'm Dr. Larry Lytle, developer of the Q laser system. This same laser was used by a chiropractor to treat Gary's injured back. Gary wondered if it would help the bear's injured back. I told him that based upon research and other clinical studies that I believed it would help the bear's spine, in spite of mother bear's extreme disapproval. Gary and Chad were able to get the injured bear into a horse trailer and took him to the ranch and began laser treatments. Every day for the next 4 weeks, they applied the laser to his injured back. At 2 weeks, he was able to stand. At 3 weeks, he was able to walk. And by the 4th week, he had completely regained the use of his paralyzed hind legs and was able to walk and run again. He also developed a healthy appetite for apples and dog food. By the time Little Bear's back was healed, it was too late in the winter to return to the woods. So Gary made him a den of straw bales in the horse trailer. Gary's wife, Artis, gave the lonely cub a teddy bear to keep him company as he began his long winter hibernation in his new straw home. When spring came and he emerged from his man-made den, he had grown into a big bear. Obviously, it was time to return him to his natural habitat. Gary and Chad built a trailer he lit a spot in the forest under the big oak tree where they found him. They left him, and when they returned the next day, he was gone. Thanks to caring ranchers and the use of heating light, there is a healthy black bear living free in the northern Minnesota woods.
Hello, I'm Dr. Larry Lytle, inventor of the Q laser system. Welcome to this webinar. Please allow me to introduce you to Lisa and her team.
This is a true story of the black bear cub that fell from it.
Hello, and thank you for joining the Q Lasers Private Membership Association webinar. My name is Lisa Tobin. I'm the manager of Q Lasers Private Membership Association. Tonight's topic is titled Healing Light, presented by Dr. Larry Lytle. Laser specialists are available throughout this presentation to answer questions and to offer you a free personalized consultation on what laser system would be best for you based on your ailments. They are also available to share pricing options and our money-back guarantee program. Please call in on our toll-free number, 866-375-9853, or you can send an email to sales@qlasers.com. Again, that toll-free number is 866-375-9853, or the email is sales@qlasers.com. You are welcome to submit typed questions during this live webinar. Dr. Lytle will answer the top 3 questions at the end of the presentation. Questions that are submitted during this webinar that are not answered due to time factors will be answered personally to you via email by either Dr. Lytle or a laser specialist. Thank you, and go ahead, Dr. Lytle.
Hello again. One wavelength of laser will not do everything low-level lasers can do to enhance body healing. Therefore, 2035 PMA Trust manufactures 3 Q laser systems. One is on the left. It's called the Q1000 NG Plus. It has a single button that turns it on. That single button also will call up different modes. The factory puts mode 1, 2, and 3 in for you when the laser is manufactured. It has the ability to download other frequencies from the website www.laserfrequency.com in positions 4 through 9, which are open. The 660 probe comes in 2 different forms. One is the straight probe or the cigar-looking probe, where the beam of energy comes out of the end, that particular probe is beneficial for acupuncture points, for using it in the ear, or using it on teeth, or someplace where you need concentrated sources of energy the size of a pencil eraser. When you try to reach your back of your neck or your back or your foot with that straight laser, most people do not have enough flexibility, and the laser is often applied at an angle. That reduces its efficiency. Therefore, Q lasers made a flat probe where the beam comes out of the side. It's much easier for you to apply the laser to the back of your neck or to your lower back or even your foot. It doesn't make any difference whether you're talking the 660, which is a red light laser, or the 808, which is an infrared laser. They both work the same way. They both provide the same results. They are different shapes because of the ability for you to get them on different parts of the body easier. Now let me talk about what low-level laser means. This is what it means. Light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Your body is just energy. In the beginning of planet Earth, it was just a black hole. And God said, let there be light. And from the darkness came the light. Or so it stands that everything on Earth is light. It's a little squiggly wave called a sine wave called light. Well before Christianity, two Greek scholars theorized that this little squiggly wave of light was called an atomos, or a positive charge and a negative charge. Much later, Einstein called that the ion, the atom, and when it loses an electron, it becomes an ion. Einstein also said that light can be either a wave or a particle. A wave, obviously, is like the light before you, and a particle is like the chair you're sitting on or the desk in front of you, or your body. The difference between a wave and a particle is depending on the vibrational frequency of those atoms that make up that particle or make up that body. The vibrational frequency is controlled by the energy field around each body. Our bodies are all different, and everything in the field depends upon the vibration to make it a different cell, whether it be a heart cell or a liver cell or so forth. Actually, light precedes chemicals in all of our reactions. Our cells react to visible light and energy waves 100 times more than they react to chemical signals. Most of medicine is based upon chemicals. Light is the predecessor of the chemicals. This is what many people think an atom looks like. Newton put this diagrammatic symbol of an atom in many of the books years and years ago. This slide depicts what the atom looks like if it's placed on a piece of paper. But in reality, the modern energy theories, you cannot, in themselves, diagram an atom. The universal energy is everywhere and is accessed and is dependent upon the observer. If we look at an atom, it's really like this. It is just nothing. I just grabbed a handful of them before me. It's just an energy field, a positive energy field and a negative energy field. And this vibration makes it unique upon itself. Basic chemistry teaches that everything on Earth is composed of atoms, including the human body. Scientists still do not know why electrons around the orbit of the protons change and why the electron is formed. But in actuality, an atom is just empty space. It's a positive charge, a negative charge, which holds a positive charge in position, and an electron, which is the outside negative charge. Space is occupied by 90% hydrogen atoms, and when combined with extreme heat, these atoms form other elements. We have already studied that. I'm getting some interference here. I'm not sure why. There it goes. It's gone now. As an example, 20 hydrogen atoms forms the calcium atom. Calcium atom, when it loses its electron, becomes a calcium ion. You may study pH in grade school or high school, certainly junior high. pH is the measurement of acid and alkalinity. 7 is neutral, and to the left of 7 is acid, and to the right of 7 is alkaline. Acidity is present in almost all diseases, with exception of some diseases of the stomach and of the vagina. Acidity is a part of the disease process. The opposite of oxidation is reduction. And the difference is that little elusive electron again. So it is that when you lose electrons, it makes the body acidic, and it also makes it oxidize faster. Many of you may be taking some type of antioxidant such as CoQ10, vitamin C, vitamin E, zinc. If you're taking these, that's because you've been told or have read that oxidation is bad. It is true that oxidation is present in all disease. Most health-oriented people want to slow oxidation down. Would you rather take a handful of antioxidants, or would you rather use the Q laser system, which replaces lost electrons? Again, this very system here that I showed you at the beginning, including the Q1000NG Plus and the attachment probes, either they'd be a 660, which is a visible light that you can see, or an 808, which you cannot see, does put electrons back at the atomic level of the cell. All low-level lasers are not equal. Some of them cannot restore cellular energy at all. They're merely stimulatory devices. When a cell loses its electrons, and then the DNA is altered, and the new cells produced are the same old sick cells that come from the altered DNA. That's what causes disease and illness. Your body changes cells on a regular basis throughout your life. Skin cells on a weekly or biweekly basis, and organ cells on a monthly or bi-monthly basis. Even brain cells change once a year. So if you are changing your brain cells with using a low-level laser, such as the Q laser system, you have to do it on a regular basis and understand that it takes some time to change the DNA to grow healthy new brain cells. But when you lose the electron, remember that it causes disease, sickness, and aging. So therefore, laser therapy restores the lost electrons. It normalizes the DNA. It enhances cellular antioxidant activity. It balances the sodium-potassium pump, thus helps in eliminating fluid retention and helps in controlling weight. It produces endorphins. Those are your own body's morphine, and they control pain on a rather quick basis. And finally, it makes the cell and the body more healthy, and it will live a longer life. Many people know the word laser as a cutting instrument, especially when connected to medical lasers such as LASIK eye surgery. Many view the laser as a high-powered cutting instrument, when in reality the Q laser system that works so well at restoring electrons is a low-powered, cold or soft laser, and it's not cutting. It will not cause any damage or any harm to the user. Lay people just like you and me use the laser every single day, and so do professionals. The problem with going to a doctor just to get the laser treatment is that oftentimes, you need the laser on a daily basis and you're probably not going to your doctor on a daily basis. Q lasers work well on the cell level, and it will be beneficial to understand the terms that are on your screen now. Q lasers consist of hardware that's called a wave. This cannot be changed. Once you buy the laser, the wave stays the same throughout the life of the laser. Waves are the portion of the laser that carry information. Everything in the universe consists of waves. These little lazy S or sine waves compose all matter. Since one wave will not do everything that multiple waves can do, the Q laser system has combined multiple diodes to make a multiple wavelength device. When these two waves overlap and combine, it forms a new wave that is more beneficial than the single wave. This is the secret to the Q laser system. These waves are not stronger or more powerful, but when combined, the new wave travels into the body much more easily and is not rejected by the body as much or as often as a single wave. As the light penetrates the body, it speeds up. It changes in its nature. In the Q laser system, we call this wave the soliton wave. All waves, regardless of where the low-level laser is purchased, are made from laser diodes. These diodes are manufactured in China and a few other countries. Current laser diodes are made by combining just 7 of the 100 or more elements that you and I studied in school. These elements are grown in a vacuum by combining the different elements, and then those elements, when energy is applied, produce a different wavelength. The overall accuracy of the run-of-the-mill diode is 15 degrees each side of what is ordered. For example, if we want a 650 nanometer wavelength, such as depicted in this slide, it can vary from 635 up to 665 nanometers of length. A nanometer is a method of measuring the width of a wave. The body does build up polarity or impedance to this excessive deviation, and gradually the laser benefits are reduced. Companies that buy the run-of-the-mill laser diodes get lesser and lesser results. This is one of the reasons that low-level laser has been held back for the last 50 years, is the quality of the manufacture of the diode. Q laser only uses the highest quality hand-picked diodes that vary less than 0.02 degrees either side of minus. This is a secret in making the Q laser superior to all other laser devices in the market. Coherence is also hardware. It's a portion of it's a difference. Coherence is the difference in LEDs, or light emitting diodes, and true lasers. LEDs are inexpensive lights that produce various different colors, such as the lights on the dashboard of your car that tell you the trunk is open. The diodes used in Q lasers are coherent, and they consist of 7 different wavelengths, with each wavelength emitting a different energy level, which subsequently provide different results in our bodies. LEDs, or light-emitting diodes, work by producing heat, which in turn increases circulations. So LEDs are not without benefit, but they benefit your body in a different way than the Q laser system does. If you want to tell the difference between a device that someone may call a laser and just tell really if that device is an LED, just ask the following question. Will this light-emitting device check out groceries at the grocery store, play music, or print? LEDs cannot carry information, so therefore they will not do any of those things. Frequency is software of the laser and can be easily changed. Another way of defining frequency is the number of times the little lazy S wave is interrupted per millisecond. Everything in the universe has a different frequency, which is very delicate, even down to 0.001 hertz. Q lasers uses an internal miniature computer to accurately control the frequencies in modes 1, 2, and 3, and also control those frequencies that you might install from the website www.laserfrequency.com in positions 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. If you want to take a real good example of frequency or hertz, use radio waves. In our community, we have a radio station, 101.1. It's a country western station. If you tune to 101.2, you get static. If you tune to 101.3, you get nothing. Since speaker varies so much from organ to organ, even from person to person, person A, as an example, may have a different frequency of their pancreas than person B. And it's even possible that person A has a different frequency from season to season or time to time. You know this in the universe because the moon, its small amount of energy changes the waves in our oceans. Q laser enables the frequency to be changed without sending it back to the factory or without buying a new laser. This is a huge breakthrough in low-level lasers. Dose, also explained as joules, and the results that you get from a laser system are directly dependent on the dose. And not only applied, but the dose also has to be absorbed. Many sales reps of the manufacturer don't even know what dose their laser puts out. The sales reps that sell the Q laser system know exactly what dose each puts out, how many joules they put out. The formula is output times time divided by the area. By changing any one of these, the benefits of the laser are altered. Output is changed when the battery runs down or bleeds off. A big, big problem with most laser devices. Example, a flashlight running on 2 double D batteries is bright white when you first put new batteries in, and then it gradually turns yellow. Unfortunately, the laser diodes will light up with a very small amount of energy, so a red light will be a red light even if the battery is 99% run down. The Q laser has specific computer controls to maintain the battery energy at a constant, full level. Since low-level lasers are produce a linear, non-collimated beam, the spot size gets larger as you move it away from the skin. Thus, Q laser system is designed to be used on the skin or just slightly above the skin. And that's why we can measure the dose very accurately. While some companies lead us to believe that wavelength regulates success, in reality, more of the success is dependent upon the total dose or the total joules of energy than wavelength. Some scientists and companies will mislead you and tell you that the device is operated by producing heat, such as LEDs. When too much energy builds up in the body, or some company puts too much energy behind their diodes to try to force the energy into the body becomes disturbed with that, and it builds up what we call resistance or impedance. And the end result is that the laser becomes less and less effective because it's too much power, too much energy behind the wave that's trying to get into the body. Now, penetration is also a key to getting lasers to work right. As I just mentioned, some laser companies think that they can force the energy in by putting more power, such as running it on 110 volts or 220 volts, or using a higher output, such as a class 4 laser or even a class 5 laser. Most visible light only penetrates 1 to 3 millimeters. Therefore, that is a single wavelength. Therefore, its effectiveness is limited, regardless of how much energy you put behind it. As mentioned, some laser companies have tried to solve this penetration by increasing the power. That won't work. Too much power is detrimental and reduces effectiveness. The Q laser system has solved that problem by combining different laser diodes to produce different wavelengths and produce a different wave that we have called the soliton wave. While longer wave lights penetrate deeper, such as in infrared or non-visible lights, they don't carry as much information. So in the marketplace, you might buy a laser that is an infrared. You can't see it with your eye, and it will benefit you somewhat with certain joint problems, but it doesn't carry information to the organs. Q laser, again, solved this problem by developing the soliton wave. And so now we can put in a wave that is absorbed throughout the body. Juanita Anders, a researcher at the Uniformed Armed Services Center, says that combining diodes gives us a laser that will go clear through the skull. Penetration is not a problem with the Q laser system. The soliton wave is a poorly understood wave. It's a nonlinear light wave that maintains its shape and increases its amplitude after colliding with a similar wave. You can't have a soliton wave if you only have a single wavelength laser. The first soliton wave was observed when an English chap was drawing a barge through the canal in Scotland, and he noticed that when the rope broke that the barge took a nosedive and it dipped into the water, creating a big wave in front and also a big wave in the rear, as depicted on this slide. He got on his horse and chased the wave out in front of the boat as it watched it disappear in the ocean. He estimated it was going about 10 miles an hour. Today, we know this as the soliton wave and that whales use it to communicate on 1,000 miles apart. Recent research has shown our own body cells produce their own soliton waves for communication from cell to cell to cell within our bodies. When waves are combined, forming a soliton wave, it increases the amplitude, which enables the soliton wave to carry more electrons into the body's tissue without increasing power density. With this principle, the Q lasers have revolutionized low-level laser therapy and enables a very safe, low-power device with its 6 soliton waves to deliver electrons anywhere in the body without damaging the body. Many of you may have remembered studying osmosis in high school biology and learning nothing can pass through a depolarized membrane. A depolarized membrane is one that has lost its electrons. When you restore those electrons, then even all your food and all your nutrition you eat does a better job for your body. Laser power output is measured in milliwatts, or 1/1000th of a watt. Higher power over similar area increases the power density. As I said earlier, more power density is not necessarily better, depending on whether it's an organ or bone or ligament. Depending what part of the body you treat is what I'm saying. Delicate tissues such as organs or even bellies of the muscles do not need much energy. I think all of you remember back in high school when you stimulated the muscles in a frog leg and watched it twitch. You don't want your muscles to twitch. You want them to relax. Too much power density causes the muscles to twitch. And the body will set up a polarity or an impedance and keep that energy out. So when the body density fluctuates, the laser works less effectively. Again, Q lasers have solved this problem with an internal computer that accurately controls output power. The Q laser battery is maintained at full capacity throughout the entire treatment, regardless of how long it's used. When you use it too long and you pass the battery charge, the laser will just shut off. Since the Q laser works at the atomic level of the cells, it may have many, many clinical and home uses for a variety of conditions. These are some of the conditions that are shown on this slide here that have been successfully treated with the Q laser system. Include heart, diabetes, dentistry, veterinarian, immune response, joint, headache, wounds, burns, weight loss, nerve regeneration, acupoint therapy, carpal tunnel, and skin. Really, how the laser works, the Q laser works, to do all these things to this variety of different organs with a variety of different symptoms, is that it works by biostimulation and photostimulation, creating chemical reactions within the cells. Earlier, I told you that phototherapy is 100 times more beneficial than chemical therapy. The Q laser controls pain in two ways. One, by causing your own cells to produce their own morphine-like substance called endorphins, and the other by slowing sensory nerve production. This happens within 3 to 6 minutes on almost all cases. The Q laser also stimulates the sodium-potassium pump to keep electrons in balance. The Q laser controls inflammation by inhibiting the highly inflammatory substances, bradykinin and leukotriene. These two enzymes are 1,000 times more inflammatory than histamine. All of you know you can go to a drugstore and buy an antihistamine, but there are no anti-bradykins or anti-leukotrienes available. One company, a drug company, spent billions of dollars trying to make an anti-leukotriene drug and failed. The Q laser eliminates the inflammatory of these highly inflammatory inflammation of these highly inflammatory enzymes by 75% just by aiming it. It is fast. Sometimes it's within 3 minutes. One laser cannot be efficient to be used for all disorders. Laser beams need to be large enough to cover large areas for burns, large bruises, bed sores, and so forth. Also, broken bones, joints, tendons, cartilage, and ligaments require more dosage than can be delivered by a large beam. Therefore, Q laser systems has developed the 660 and the 808 enhancer that concentrate the light down to the size of a pencil eraser. When you're treating joints, ligaments, and cartilage with the pencil eraser size of the 808, and then treat the soft tissue or the bellies of the soft tissue muscles with a larger beam, such as that emitted by the Q1000 NG+, you'll get maximum results. Many people also use their laser for acupoint therapy. And acupoint therapy is very beneficial, as we know from 3,000 or 4,000 years of Chinese medicine, where they use needles. Today we know that applying the 660 to an acupoint gets the same results in 30 to 50 or 45 seconds as a needle would in 30 to 50 minutes. Many people, they say, I have a laser. But really, to economize, many of the laser manufacturers have not included all of the functions that are found in the Q laser system. Again, this is our Q laser system. The Q1000 NG+ on the left, that has already in mode 1, mode 2, and mode 3 are filled for you. And then it has the ability to download multiple frequencies of other in the empty modes, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. It has 2 delivery probes, 2 shapes of delivery probes, one the straight and one the side delivery, such as we've already discussed. Alzheimer and cancer are 2 of the most feared diseases. Alzheimer victims would rather die than run around knowing that They don't know their loved ones, and they don't know whether they're lost or their pants are unzipped and they're wet. Research was done in 1993 in Japan using an acupuncture lasers and showed that they could improve the symptoms of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's by 20% just with acupuncture. What they did is apply different frequencies through the acupuncture laser of 2,500 to 5,000 hertz. These studies measure sociability, nervousness, cooperativeness, conversation ability, and disorientation as barometers of success. All of these improve after using the acupuncture part of the Q laser system. We have found that using the Q1000 directly on the head is equally as beneficial or more so than using it on acupuncture points. One of the areas that we recommend that the laser always be applied is to the muscles in the neck. The muscles in the neck tighten up and control or reduce the blood flow to the brain. Also, the muscles in the artery walls tighten up. Those are smooth muscles. They tighten up, and they, in turn, reduce blood flow to the brain. Without blood flow to the brain, Alzheimer's victims will continue to get worse and worse and worse. In fact, there are probably not many diseases that you can actually heal when blood flow to the brain is reduced. Keep in mind that that blood flow is controlled by tight muscles. The Q1000 NG Plus will release those tight muscles in 30 to 45 seconds. We recommend that you practice prevention by releasing these muscles weekly or every 10 days for, at the longest, the rest of your life. This is truly the safest, most remarkable treatment ever for brain disorders, including Alzheimer's and other diseases such as Parkinson's. Approximately 20% of the blood flowing from the heart is pumped to the brain. That is if the muscles in the neck and the arterial walls are not constricted. The brain needs a constant supply in order to keep up its heavy metabolic demands of the neurons. There is a dental connection to this brain disorder, and when these dental muscles become tight and reduce the blood flow to the brain, it causes a lack of oxygen to the brain. Lack of oxygen to the brain affects every disease, including your ability to study, remember, and learn, as well as Alzheimer's and other brain disorders. A loss of oxygen for just 10 minutes can result in significant neural damage. Virtually all of this oxygen used in the brain is for conversion of glucose to CO2. Neural tissue does not have a mechanism for storing oxygen, and there is only a metabolic reserve of oxygen for about 8 to 10 seconds. To enhance oxygen to the brain, apply mode 1 of the Q1000 NG Plus to the proprioceptive points shown in your low-level laser application guide. Now we're going to look at some case histories. This lady had a lot of fluid retention. 82-year-old lady had severe edema of her lower legs. Her husband fainted and landed on her leg, causing it to explode like a water balloon. The medical doctors tried to sew up the wound on the leg. That failed, and then they wanted to amputate the leg. Her daughter, who lived some distance away, owned a Q1000 laser and was assigned to come change her dressing on a regular basis, and the daughter began applying her own Q1000 on her mother's leg, right through the bandages, directly over the wound. And each time she changed the bandages and cleaned the leg up, she applied the laser. Here's what the leg looked like 4 months later. If the laser had been applied more often, would it heal quicker? I suspect so. But this is still remarkable. The lady has her own leg She did not have it amputated, and she's up moving around today. Now this is a condition that I hope none of you get. It's MRSA is the abbreviation for it. It's called methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. It is the #1 cause of deaths in hospitals. But there are no antibiotics that will work on this deadly bacteria. It has even closed schools up, and you may have seen it on television where they go in and try to clean up the schools with Lytle to disinfect them. Results shown in this picture on the left leg were achieved in just 3 appointments with the Q1000 laser, 1 application a day. It was moved around to cover the entire wound. This is an 18-month-old child that was burned when he fell against the exhaust of the riding lawnmower. Laser treatment was not begun immediately because they didn't own a laser. However, the employee of that, a dental employee of Dr. Larry Lytle, knew that her niece or nephew had been burned, and she took her laser over and shared it with her sister, and they applied it repeatedly to cover the entire wound for 5 days. And you can see what it looks like on the right side after 5 days, and there it looks 9 days, all better, all healed up. The laser is remarkable for burns. Never leave home without your laser. The quicker you get a laser on a burn, the quicker the burn heals. Many times it won't even blister if you put it on immediately. Many of you may have had allergic reactions. This is an allergic reaction to some substance, and you can see the result in just 3 or 4 days. This also is a slide, compliments of Dr. Larry Lytle. He's a pedodontist in New York, and this shows cold sores or herpes simplex, controlled in just 10 days. Now, I have had cold sores. I can tell you that if I feel the tightness coming in on my lip or just a slight burning sensation, I immediately apply the 660 flash probe or the 660 NG probe. If you do that when you first feel it, the cold sore will never come to a head and never will blister. If you don't get the laser on immediately and it does blister, you will get results similar to what you see in this picture. This also is a slide of Dr. Larry Lytle's. This, again, was one of his employees' friends' kids. This little kid was learning to crawl, and he crawled across the floor and put his hand on a very hot glass door of a fireplace. He received 2nd and 3rd degree burns. Usually this type of burn requires surgery and grafting and does damage to the tendons, and the hand is never right. It's like a claw. There's permanent damage that leaves the child unable to use the hand like normal. When they use this laser on this burn, the Q1000, mode 1 of the Q1000 for just 5 days, then they treated it a couple days later for one time and a couple days later for one time. Here are the results that they see. Look at that on the lower right, almost totally healed. And here's a picture of that hand 5 weeks later and 1 year later. Absolutely no damage to the tendons, ligaments, or skin, no permanent damage at all. What a blessing it was to have a Q laser on this type of burn. Many of you have been burned by cooking oil in the kitchen. Sometimes it's only a splatter. Here's a serious burn, all healed in just a few applications of the Q laser system. Many of you may have pets. The Q laser system was originally designed for animals and pets, and then we went into using it on the human as well. This is a $10,000 bear hunting dog. It was caught under a car and dragged to where all the skin on the belly was gone and clear into the muscles. They flew this dog into Dr. Shear's office in Nashville, North Carolina. She's a veterinarian there that specializes in Q laser therapy. And over just 3-day period, that was pretty much totally healed, and hair was growing back in 9 days. I apologize for the picture on the left. That's my very first picture, taken with a throwaway camera on a horse that was supposed to be put down. That the horse had received a wire cut clear to the bone, cut the ligaments and tendons, got an infection, blood poisoning, and the veterinarian could not do anything for the animal. The Q laser was applied, and 3 months later, that's what it looked like on the right. It didn't take 3 months to heal. That's when I got back out there to take the picture. And at that time, that horse was a $10,000 show horse. And the lady said, well, I can't show that horse because that scar looks terrible. We applied the laser again 7 times to the scar tissue, and for the first time that known in medical history, we grew hair back in scars. It's done the same thing on humans. Again, here's a little dog that was paralyzed in his hindquarters. Just one treatment of the 808 probe resolved the paralysis. This is a leg wound that is one of the toughest to heal. It's right on the kneecap. Every time you bend your knee, that breaks back open. And it was healed in just 6 days with the Q laser system. Now this will almost turn your stomach. This is not one of my pictures, but it does demonstrate the value of treating brown recluse spider bites with a low-level laser system. I have a doctor in Montana that had a brown recluse spider bite in one of his patients' calves that had been open for 17 years. It was the size of a good-sized orange, and that was growing. The tissue was rotting away. And the same as this picture here, in just a few days, he reversed and was growing new flesh, and it all healed. There's that same picture. That lady's wound was healed in just 6 days using the Q laser system. Keep in mind, brown recluse spider bites, there's nothing that heals them. This is a true and true injury to the lip, healed in just 1 week with mode 1 of the Q laser system. Here's a broken arm of a 5-year-old, also healed in 1 week. And the laser was applied twice a day right through the calf. We're getting some background again. I don't know what's causing that, but bear with us, we'll get rid of it. Now, many of the ulcers, I'm not sure what's causing the background, Lisa, but it's coming from your end. There, thank you for clapping us. Ulcers heal so fast with the Q1000 laser, they may heal over the top of the laser before the deepest part heals. Therefore, it's recommended that you use the 660 enhancer and go to the bottom of the wound and heal from the bottom up. Here's another diabetic ulcer, and this shows how much reduction there is in swelling in just a few applications of the laser treatment. This slide demonstrates a severe second-degree burn. This adult stepped into a hot tub where the thermostat had gone haywire and the temperature had gone up to 142 degrees. The doctor said this was a second-degree burn that would take 4 weeks to heal. He used 2 Q1000 lasers because of the size of the injury and applied them twice a day. For day 1, you can see the skin is all gone. Day 3, it's all red. These are true picture colors of what the skin looked like. Day 4, it was a fiery red, and day 7, it looked like kind of a lavender or deep purplish color. And on day 9, it almost had healed, except for a slight sunburn appearance on the front of the leg, and he even saw hair growing back on the side of the leg. No surgery and no scarring. This picture is of a lady that got her nose into someone else's business and it was broken. Immediately after the rhinoplasty on the left, you can see the large amount of swelling and bruising. And the picture on the right is 9 days later, applying mode 1 twice a day to the injury site. It reduces swelling rapidly. This is an opera singer who had serious adult acne. She had been to many specialists and nothing helped her. No matter what drug she took or what cream she put on it, she got no results at all. It took her about 2 to 3 hours to put her pancake makeup on so she could look decent when she went out to sing opera. The picture on the right shows how the Q laser cleared up her system, even healing the scars. This picture isn't here because we think you're going to have a bicycle, you have a grandchild or a child that will have a bicycle accident. I'm showing you this picture to show you how quickly swelling can be reduced. On the left, the little guy took a head dive off his bicycle into the concrete, knocked his teeth back in the roof of his mouth, cut his lip, broke the bone that held the teeth, and the oral surgeon was called, and it took him several hours to put him back in shape. The picture on the left is what he looked like right after surgery. His mother owned a laser and fortunately applied it just 6 minutes on day 1. On day 2, the swelling was already all gone. And on day 3, which I don't have the pictures, the little kid himself was 5 years of age, and he applied the laser himself. And when I saw them on day 6, there was absolutely no evidence that there had ever been an injury inside of the mouth or out. I followed this young man all throughout the loss of his primary or baby teeth. This is the first time in my dental career that I saw baby teeth that were knocked loose like that did not turn black, and they reattached to the bone. He lost the baby teeth normally. His permanent teeth came in normally, and I know he's a fine young man because that's my grandson. He's a junior in college this year. The conclusion is, if lasers heal so well on the surface, they will heal equally as well on the inside. Keep in mind that very few people die of joint pain. Most of the people die from internal organ failure. When you're treating pain, you always apply the Q1000 laser to proprioceptive points on page 36 and 38 of your low-level laser application guide. Years ago, I had the privilege of introducing the king in his court. He was a softball pitcher that could throw the softball 100 miles an hour to home plate, 100 miles an hour to first base. He traveled around with a catcher, a first baseman, and a fielder playing exhibition softball games. When I introduced him, I noticed his right arm was twice the size of his left and was 6 inches longer. I asked him, "Were you born this way?" He said, "No, I didn't start pitching until I was nearly 30, and that arm has grown that amount in the last 10 years. Remember this and never forget it. The king of any injury is the muscle. Muscles are king. You must always apply the Q laser system to release the muscles in order to get any relief of joint pain. I'm going to show you where to apply the Q1000 laser. These are also in your low-level laser application guide, but apply them right in front of the ear and right below the angle of the jaw. You can apply them on the painful side of the body, or if both sides hurt, you apply them on both sides of the body. This is proprioceptive point 3 and 4, or 4 and 3, it doesn't matter how you number them, but one of them is just below the collarbone, about 3 inches below the collarbone and 3 inches in from the armpit. The other is on the flat part of the shoulder blade, just where it curves up from the spine. This demonstrates the proprioceptive points in the groin and on the butt. You can also use the 808 in this area. The 808 is faster, but the Q1000 will get the job done. You start at the hip, point of the hip at the belt height, and walk your way down to the groin where the leg meets the trunk. Do the same thing on the back side. Start at the crest of the hip, the point of the hip, and walk the laser across at pant pocket height to the spinal column. These are, you apply the laser on these proprioceptive points every time you have a joint problem. You don't need to apply it on points 5 and 6 for upper joint problems, but for lower joint problems such as the back, the hip, the knee, the ankle, you apply it on all 6 proprioceptive points. These are the most common diseases that we have found, or disorders or pain that we have found that people want treated. In the United States, we have 10% of the world's population, less than 10%, but we consume 85% of the world's pain pills. That must be that we are in a lot of pain in this country. These pain pills have very serious side effects. The Q laser has 0 side effects. I'm going to walk you through how treating the hand. Use the Q1000 on the proprioceptive points in the upper body, and then apply the 808, and this is the picture of an 808. It just happens to be a different color than the one you have, or a different shape. You may have an 808 that's in a side delivery shape model, but apply it in the same fashion as it says in your low-level laser application guide. You do the same thing on an ankle or an elbow. You first apply the laser to the proprioceptive points and then to the joint. Now, if you're using the 808, it's a good idea to move it around so that it comes out about the size of a pencil eraser. And if you just take it off of the skin slightly, just so it's not touching, and move it around the size of a quarter or 50-cent piece, and keep it moving during the 3-minute application time. This covers the entire area, and if you are the type of individual that it feels warm, moving it will prevent that warm feeling. If it gets too warm, obviously just stop. Here is treating the back, upper back and lower back. It's treated the same way. Upper back, you use the 808 on the point of pain. Any of you know where your point of pain is. Just feel it, and that's where you move the 808 in a slow circular motion over that point. If it's the lower back, be sure you apply proprioceptive points 1 through 6, and then apply it to the lower back pain. Hip and groin pain. If you have hip or groin pain, it's the same principle. Sounds like a broken record, doesn't it? You apply the Q1000 to proprioceptive points 1 through 6, and then you apply the 808 directly over the hip pain or the groin pain. Keep in mind you may also use the 808 in place of the Q1000 on the proprioceptive points 5 and 6. Knee pain, same thing. You apply to proprioceptive points 1 through 6, and then apply the 808 directly to the knee. If you have a knee problem, such as you see on the right or the left side on your left, the pain is on the outside of the knee, below the knee cap. That also benefits to release that pain by applying the Q1000 mode 1 in the muscles in the calf of the leg. Now on the right side, it shows the laser being applied on the inside of the knee, above the kneecap. This would be heal quicker or feel less pain quicker if you apply the Q1000 mode 1 to that point just above your knee where the belly of the muscle that hooks onto those tendons and ligaments in that knee. here's neck and shoulder pain. It's the same principle, folks. You just apply the 808 to the point of pain and also apply the Q1000 to proprioceptive points 1 through 4. Now, how to choose a low-level laser? There are over 26 companies that sell some type of therapeutic low-level laser around the United States, and many of these are lasers that are imported from other countries. There's no consumer index or no good manufacturing guidelines that allow you to follow how to buy a low-level laser. It's pretty much buyer beware. The following guidelines will provide you information when choosing a low-level laser. If you want to watch this on a video, you may go to QLasers PMA, www.qlaserspma.com, and click on videos and then click on how to choose a laser. And you are going to get a video of how to choose a laser. I'm going to walk you through that quickly. Remember, low-level laser companies are similar, and when they're trying to start up a business, I got to get on the right slide. Here we go. When you try to start up a business, the National Chamber of Commerce tells us that 90% of the companies go broke. So it's very important for you as a laser buyer, if you don't already own a QLaser system, to put your laser company under high scrutiny before you buy the lasers. Another thing that one needs to be very careful of is how do you get your laser fixed? Many of the lasers that are sold in the United States are made in foreign countries. There is no repair system in this country. And when we have to ship them back to Switzerland or Germany or China to get them fixed, and it takes a long, long time. The QLaser system is all made at Tritech Manufacturing right here in Rapid City, South Dakota. Tritech Manufacturing has the highest level of ISO certification. That is a certification method that manufacturing companies use all around the world. Tritech has the highest level of ISO available, and only about 15% of the manufacturers in the world have that level of accreditation. Again, keep in mind that if you don't need FDA approval necessarily, but it's a good idea to have your laser FDA registered. It's a good idea to know what power it is. There are lasers being sold that are high power as low-level laser treatment devices. And the QLaser system cannot cause any damage. It's a class 1, class 3A, or 3B. A lot of the lasers in the marketplace are class 4. That means they can cause harm. They can burn the victim. Class 5 lasers are those that are used in the hospital, and they must have a key and a trained officer to keep the key so that it's not accidentally turned on, because these lasers, such as LASIK lasers, are highly damaging if not used correctly. Here is Tritech Manufacturing. That's our building out in the new industrial development part of Rapid City. Here is the machine shop where all the housings are made. We use the highest grade aluminum, airplane aluminum in our housings. Many of the laser companies use plastic, and that plastic is not as good at controlling the heat output of the device. And if you get too much heat, your laser burns out. The QLaser system has a heat sink in the aluminum made right here with this device machine shop in Rapid City. Here is a robotic placement device. There are over 400 component parts that go into your Q1000 laser, and this particular device here takes all those parts and places them on the circuit board in exactly the right place. Some of these parts are not any bigger than a pinhead, and the robot knows where to turn them even 3 degrees or 5 degrees to get them on in the right position. These are the little devices. These are the little component parts that are on reels that are fed into the robotic machine that in then turn places them accurately on the circuit board, and then it is sucked down and soldered all in one piece. As it comes out of the soldering, it comes to this part of the workstations where the other component parts are added. And finally, it comes to this part where it's a workstation where the lasers are calibrated and finally checked so that every laser that goes out is checked and guaranteed to be what we say it is. The Q laser system has a 2-year warranty on anything but abuse. Abuse would be dropping it in water or leaving it lay in the back window and getting very, very hot enough to melt the solder. A laser system needs to be both resonating and stimulating. One laser will not do it all. That's why the Q laser system has developed a Q1000 laser that resonates, and it also has developed a 660 and an 808 that are enhancing lasers. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure to be your teacher on this webinar. I am known for one quote: you cannot unknow what you now know. Remember, if you have any questions, call Q Lasers PMA and address Lisa or one of the other certified laser specialists, and they will answer your questions. Good day.
Thank you, Dr. Lytle. This concludes the Healing Light presentation with Dr. Larry Lytle. Please call our office to consult with a laser specialist, again, on what laser system would be best for you based on your ailments, and to discuss pricing and our money-back guarantee program. Our office number is 866-375-9853. You may also send your email request to sales@qlasers.com. Our office is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Time. We also have laser specialists available in Northern California, Arkansas, Kansas City, Omaha, and Detroit, available for personal one-on-one demonstrations. Thank you. Have a good night.